is after 5:20 now, so we will start our Mid-State District Board of Directors meeting. And can we please start with a roll call?
Robert Beaver.
Here.
Betty Brewski Malik.
Yes.
Kristen Kress. Here. Craig Gerlach.
Here.
Justin Herder.
Here.
Richard Murden.
Here.
Linnea Miller.
Here.
Gordon Shallow.
Here.
Charles Spargo.
Here.
This January 21st, 2019 meeting of the Mid-State Technical College Board and all other meetings of the board and/or its committees is open to the public in compliance with state statutes. Notice of this meeting has been sent to the news media and designated persons in an attempt to make the citizens of the Mid-State Technical College District aware of the place, time, and agenda of the meeting. Open forum. The open forum is at the option of the board chairperson, and ground rules may be established in order to ensure the orderly conduct of business. Please keep in mind that this is a meeting of the district board open to the public, not a public hearing. Persons who wish to address the district board may make a statement as long as it pertains to a specific agenda item. Individuals should not expect to engage in discussion with the members of the district board. The district board chairperson may or may not respond to statements that are made. And next, we will move on to approval of minutes from our December 17th, 2018 regular meeting.
So moved.
Also move.
Okay, all those in favor say yes, please.
Yes.
And all those against say no. Okay. And then next will be the consent agenda, which will include the payment of bills and payroll, contracted services agreements, and the procurements for goods and services. And for that, we'll need a motion and a second.
Finance Committee reviewed the consent agenda items and all our questions were answered. I move for approval of the consent agenda items.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Robert Beaver.
Yes.
Betty Brewski Malik.
Yes.
Kristen Kress.
Yes.
Craig Gerlach.
Yes.
Justin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Murden.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Gordon Shallow.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Thank you. And next, we'll move on to the reports and recommendations portion of our meeting. I want to start off by welcoming everybody. We're in Stevens Point this evening, and we have a full crew, counting our one member on the phone with us this evening, so that's good to see. And today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Today, Americans across the country celebrate the federal holiday honoring the life, work, and achievements of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a great and influential American civil rights leader. He felt that everyone should have equal rights, the right to work and make an honest living, the right to vote, the right to a good education, and the right to use all public places. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed a bill declaring that beginning in 1986, the third Monday of every January would be celebrated as a holiday known as Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Congress's intention was that the holiday serve as a time for Americans to reflect on the principles of racial equality and nonviolent social change espoused by Dr. King. During his lifetime, Dr. King sought to forge the common ground on which people from all walks of life could join together as equals to address important community issues. Service, he realized, was the great equalizer. As he once said, everyone can be great because everyone can serve.
Justin, if I could just interject.
Yes.
As important as your birthday is today, Dr. Monday, I brought a cake. My wife has been making that cake on Martin Luther King Day for more than the last 2 decades, since our kids were little, to educate them about Martin Luther King and the importance he had. If you have a piece of cake, you'll see that it's integrated, black and white.
Oh, nice.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. And happy birthday.
Yes, thank you. That's special.
Okay. Next, we have Winter Boards Association meeting, was held January 16th through the 18th in Madison. This meeting was held in conjunction with the legislative seminar. Betty Brewski Malik was named the WTC District Boards Association Board Member of the Year. Congratulations, Betty.
And that is why we have flowers for you tonight, Betty.
And would anybody who was in attendance there like to share some other thoughts on the meeting?
That was the first one that I've been to for the technical college districts, and I thought it was excellent. We had seminars in the morning Thursday. We had our new lieutenant governor address us, a couple of the legislators, and we had a panel discussion of 3 people from the press telling us about the goings and comings, what's happening in the legislative arena. They don't paint a very good picture in terms of the anticipated cooperation among the various parties, but they gave a very good description of it. After that, we went over to the state capitol and met with 5 or 6 of our legislators, and I thought the meetings all went very well. They were open to hearing what we had to say. They were engaged. They knew about technical college and the benefits that we provide to our communities, and sounded like they would support our budget request. We're asking for a considerable amount of money, both for increasing our programs as well as for student financial support. I think it came to $82 million between the 2. So it was a significant ask. And Layla Merrifield, the director of the District Boards Association, I think did an outstanding job pulling all this together and giving us a very good program. And then the afternoon with our legislators. And I'll have to say our staff did a great job putting together information for us to share with the legislators and briefing us on what are the important things and how to do it. I appreciate the staff's support on that.
I agree. Whatever Chuck said, I agree with him. I don't think I've ever been to a panel discussion where they were as frank as they were. They were honest, and they just told it like it is, and they said it may go well and may not, but they don't expect a lot till everybody can work together. And when you talk to our legislators, well, they're going to work together. They're going to work with the new governor, so that remains to be seen. But everybody was positive.
In their perspective, I mean, all of these journalists had, 20 years experience or whatever, so they're going back. Yeah, this is similar to this Doyle administration when this was going on and this was going on. And remember how this happened and everything? I mean, so they had a lot of very good perspective.
Yeah, I would agree with what everybody said. I thought that panel was one of the best things I've heard of one of those, because they were right up front, honest. There's certain things going to happen, certain things probably won't. And I also would give a lot of credit to Layla and Steve getting that panel together. I mean, that was really good. And again, congratulations, Betty. That was well deserved.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, everybody.
We also found out that some legislators aren't aware that their territory consists of Mid-State.
It was
Pretty
an
interesting.
observation by, I don't know if it was the panel discussion or where, I picked this up, maybe someone else will remember, but they noticed a correlation on the skill level of kids applying for jobs. Their communication, their soft skills, communication, interviewing skills have dropped inversely proportionate to the time they spend on cell phones. So the more time they spend on cell phones, the less time they spend on communicating verbally. So it's one of the challenges that we all have on the new generation, in helping strengthen those soft skills.
The particular legislator that Rick is referring to, they will be my new best friend, so please know that. So they will get to know Shelley Mondike, and so that is on my list to just give a call. They had given a presentation and referred to 2 colleges that they represent, but forgot to mention Mid-State. So we will make sure that they're aware of that. So.
Great, thank you. The ACCT Legislative Summit will be held February 10th to the 13th in Washington, D.C. Capital visits will be conducted, we hope. Betty, Rick, Shelley, and Bobby will all be representing the college. 2019 board appointments. In February, a letter will be sent to county board chairpersons within the Mid-State District announcing the start of the board appointment process. The appointment committee will seek members for the employer, employee, and additional member positions. Angie will act as the board appointment committee liaison and will communicate relevant dates and deadlines to district residents and those board members whose positions are up for appointment. And future meeting dates. Please mark your calendars for the upcoming March 18th, 2019 board meeting when we will be in Adams County.
I'm waiting, Denny.
It's January, right? So that's 2 months from now, 2 meetings from now.
We'll let you know, Bob.
But the next meeting date, which will be held on Monday, February 18th of 2019, will be in Wisconsin Rapids. Committee meetings will begin at 4:15 PM unless otherwise announced. Committee of the whole will be held at 5, and the regular meeting will begin at 5:20 PM. Additional questions or comments? Okay. Then we will move on to the Midstate Foundation Liaison Report.
She's here in
And
person.
we have
I'm here in person. Happy
Jill with us
Monday,
today. Happy Monday.
Monday.
And happy first day of spring semester.
No.
It was absolutely wonderful to see so many bodies in the building on Wisconsin Rapids campus today and asking for help, and staff helping them find their classrooms and so forth. It was truly, truly inspiration today, all these people looking to fulfill their dreams and careers. So, great day. But as far as the foundation board, we have been busy solidifying our events for 2019 here. And so as you'll see on the list of events, February kicks off our employee giving campaign. And our theme this year is Be a Superhero in the Lives of Our Students. We have some fun activities with capes and raffles and so forth. So if you get around campus in the month of February on any campus, be sure to look out for that. Our goal this year is to have 150 of our employees give to the campaign compared to 115 last year. And our financial goal is $30,000, and we were close to $26,000 last February. So I think we can do it. We have a great committee pulled together for that, so we're excited about it. Our summer golf outing will be June 11th at Lake Arrowhead, the Pines Course. So mark your calendars there. We are doing free tuition Tuesdays again in partnership with the Rafters. There's 6 Tuesdays this year that we'll be partnering with them. Each qualifier each week automatically wins a $500 scholarship from the foundation. And in turn, if the Rafters strike out the side on the top of the third, that person will all get $15,000 in tuition. So we're excited about that. We bought an insurance policy to cover that, so so that's all good. We are also doing the Sand Valley Par 3 golf outing again this year. It went over so well that the group that was out there last year said that they wanted to do it again. But this year we moved it up into August. It's a Wednesday, August 7th, which should be good for getting anybody that has summers off and so forth to participate. So that will be fun. We have our trap shoot event scheduled for Friday, September 6th. Out at the Wisconsin Trap Shooting Association grounds. That is strictly an event to raise funds for emergency funding, since we have no grant money matches anymore. We're self-sufficient on producing that from the foundation perspective. We do get funds from the WTCS that Deb McDonald manages on behalf of the college. And then our scholarship reception is Thursday, September 12th. So please mark your calendars. You're all invited to attend that event, and you'll get invitations as we get closer. But we have created a special acknowledgement for these scholarship recipients, and it has changed the feel of what we do each and every day. And it's wonderful to see the joy on the donors' faces and the students coming together for one night of celebration. Our annual appeal ended December 31st, and I'm happy to say, even though it wasn't a lot, it was only $200 more than last year, but we raised $65,870 in our annual appeal request. Compared to 3 years ago, that appeal request had only been $25,000. So in the last 2 years, we have really jumped up our annual appeal dollars. And commitments that we had gotten, but we didn't get the money in during that time period, was one of the biggest ones that we have gotten recently was our partnership with North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Group. We had worked with them for a spring scholarship for $500 last year, and they had given it away for the spring semester. And in that conversation, they had asked about how they could keep it sustaining. So I'd given them the idea of an endowing $10,000 to keep it sustaining. And I found out in conversation with Renee Daniels that they not only endowed $10,000 with us, but also with North Central and with Nicolay. So each one of them now get an annual scholarship in celebration of their Employer of the Year. So that was a win for all technical colleges in their district. We also did something new this year. One of our students, graduating students, alumni, probably about 3 years ago, she had endowed a $5,000 scholarship for students that used our tutoring services on campus. This year, she started a fund, a tutoring fund, that once the college tutoring dollars are used up and we're at the end of the semester and students need tutoring, there's a fund there now that we can tap into to get those students the help they need at the end of the semester. So that was signed this last week. We also have a nursing scholarship that's going to be an endowment of $5,000, the Marion Dietzler Scholarship. She was a faculty with us years ago, and she worked in central Wisconsin all her life, and her nephews have been starting this endowment in honor of her birthday every year. So they add to that endowment, and hopefully they'll grow every year. Scholarship windows, we are currently in the high school scholarship window that opened up on the 7th of this month and it closes February 22nd. So we are working closely with our high school outreach coordinators to get in and help them with the application because it's completely different since they're not in our system with classes. They have a few more steps to do to get the application filled out, but we are excited. We are pacing larger numbers from the high school population that are applying for scholarships. So that is really good. And we're communicating back and forth about which ones are drafted, which ones are submitted, so those outreach coordinators can get with those students when they're on the high school campuses and make sure that they get those applied to. Our fall window for August semester, that spring application window actually opens May 6th. We have probably about $325,000 worth of scholarships available for that window. So that one will be a big one. And then we had been working diligently for 6 months, I think, Brad, on getting our merchant ID and Rob for the foundation so we can take credit cards and become PCI compliant and all of that. We got our merchant ID approval last week and our paperwork in the mail. Now we have to do our extra PCI training and then work with IT to get the the donation forms online.
What's
Which, it's the
Payment
Card
card
payment card.
industry?
Yeah.
It's not that we're not PCI compliant now, it's that when we go to this,
We have to just-
ensuring that we are still PCI.
And I've already taken the PCI compliance training that is required from the college perspective, because we take credit card information right now. This is just another step to make sure that we stay in compliance. But what's nice about it is so often we try to take credit card payments and it becomes a larger process than we'd like, and the fact that there's the potential that credit card information can be exposed. And so we're trying to really take that risk out. Our audit, that was one of the areas that we needed to shore up, so we've been working on it. It took us a while to get our merchant ID for the foundation, but we'll be able to take sponsorships online with credit card payments. We'll be able to take registration for events online, and just general donations where we're gonna have that available online for anybody at any given time if they want to. Our annual appeal, we'll direct them to the website for that annual donation as well. It can be recurring. If somebody wants a payment to come out every month on the 15th, we'll be able to do that, and it will be downloaded, and we'll be able to import that into our software. So it will save a lot of handling of numbers because we won't see any of them. So, which I feel a whole lot more. I mean, I know that I've secured them, but at any given time, you just don't know what might have fallen through the cracks. So, and that is all that I have at this point. Does anybody have anything for me as far as the foundation?
That's all, Joe?
That's all.
That's great.
Okay,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Okay, next we'll have the president's report with Dr. Monday.
Great, thank you, Justin. We have great staff, don't we? We We definitely do. Sometimes it's just kind of a proud moment just to sit and hear all the things that we're doing. So just a few things. Our last meeting was December 17th, so there was an array of semester end activities. We had our employee winter celebration, which was well attended. We also had our nursing pinning. And then really just gearing up for the spring semester and everything that falls between the holiday season and spring semester. And one of them is winterim. So this was our second time that we put together a winterim session. We will give you a full report in the coming months, but wanted to just tell you that we served over 500 students in our second winterim session. We served 325 students last year. So when you see that growth, definitely is showing that our students have a need, and we're definitely reviewing our coursework and what we're putting out, and really need to thank Deb and Mandy for really looking and assessing and working with the faculty, because I really think, again, a huge success. So just nice job. On January 3rd, actually in this room, there is something called the North Central Higher Education Alliance, where you get all of the leaders from the educational institutions together in one room to talk about how can we make the region stronger. And so we hosted that meeting. We had membership from UW-Stevens Point. We also had the new leaders from the UW-SP Marshfield and the UW-SP Wausau, along with myself representing Mid-State. We had Dr. Lori Weyers from North Central here, and then we had Dr. Richard Nelson, the president at Nicolet. And we really just talked about what are some of the initiatives that we should be working on. And we really walked out of that meeting saying that we need to partner more to make sure that we have a pipeline for our graduates being able to get their bachelor's degree. That there is really no reason that we do not take our associate degrees and we look at their bachelor programs and really be able to build a bridge between the two. That's really what our area needs. So we committed that we will be meeting again within the next 3 to 4 months and continue having this dialogue, because the region really needs that. And we have a commitment to do that. So it was nice to just get everybody in the room and again talk about what we need to do together. We did talk a little bit about duplication of effort and how we want to make sure that we are not doing that. We also talked a little bit about our new opportunity that I will be signing a proper memorandum of understanding in early February, which we will definitely celebrate at our board meeting. We did finalize an agreement with UW-SP for our mid-state students to be able to stay in the dorm. So we will be able to offer that housing option. We're very excited about that. So again, just what do we need? How can we work together? What do their students need? What do our students need? So I think having the dialogue open is always the first step in trying to get some things done. So that was, I'm optimistic. We also have been doing internal strategic planning sessions. We have 4 campuses. We have 2 now that are complete. So we have finished our Adams campus strategic planning. We finished our Stevens Point strategic planning. On Thursday, we are doing our Wisconsin Rapids. And basically at these meetings, it is internal staff. We are taking everything from a demographic standpoint of population for that region. We're taking our minutes from our campus advisory meetings that we had. What did the community say about us? We're taking what our students have said and really sitting down and saying, what are the main 4 priorities that we should be doing over the next 1 to 5 years? And so once we conclude all 4, I will be bringing you a summary so you can see what really has come out. But I can tell you, with having 2 of the 4 done, just very pleased, because we as a college need to know what we're going to do in the next 1 to 5 years. And we have to plan for that. We have to evolve. Each year we have to review the plan. We will modify it as we need to. It's not a plan that will sit on a shelf and we'll look at it again in 5 years, but it will help us build everything from our operating budget to our capital budget. So just really pleased how these meetings are happening, and just a thank you to the staff. They're definitely giving up many hours to be able to sit. I know we had it when we did the Stevens Point. Volker was a wonderful host, and just many hours sitting around looking at the demographics. One of the things we learned in Stevens Point was, from a national average standpoint, there are more veterans in this region than there are in the national average. So if we were maybe going to do anything around serving veterans more, we know that possibly Stevens Point would be the campus that we would want to maybe focus on. So just learning how to strategically place us to make sure we're serving the community. So great meetings that we're having. The graduation committee also got back together, very much debriefed from our December graduation. I think everybody walked away saying, job well done. There were some minor things that we learned from a location or how we walk in or where we get dressed and things like that. But I can tell you that everybody was pleased, and we have started the planning for our May graduation, which is not going to be that far away, and that will be at Century, keep in mind. So we're excited about that. We have been very sorry to hear about the closing of some of our businesses in our district, Figgies, Shopko. Just want to that we are connected with the appropriate people. We have already had some sessions for those dislocated workers, and I think Volker might actually speak a little bit on what we've done with Figgies right here in town. For the second year in a row, Midstate also received in the Wisconsin Rapids area from United Way the Bronze Award for our employees for the gift per capita. So just, that really shows that our employees want to give back to the community, and that's something that we are all about, so just very pleased with that. You may recall when I came in, had put a team together, and we looked at how can we maybe do a little bit better with United Way rather than having all 3, 4 campuses doing it a little bit differently. We have now one United Way approach and be able to raise money for the appropriate regions, and definitely we're having some success. You have also heard me talk about that we want to continue to do more with our elementary schools and our middle schools to really talk about Midstate before waiting until they're juniors and seniors. We definitely need to do that. And our faculty and our staff have really embraced that, and Deb is smiling because Deb knows what I'm going to probably show here. But have any of you heard of this new famous song out there, the Baby Shark song? It's like, okay, yes. And so I just want to show you Keith Melvin and our EMS team. You know, they're always looking at how can they make sure that they give everybody that they're involved with a good experience. So we have been doing a lot more on our digital platforms, and really a kudos to Bobby and her team. But I just want to show you what a great team we have. So you're going to see Keith Melvin, who's in the blue, working with the 7th grade from the Assumption Middle School. Doing career exploration and being able to do the Baby Shark song, showing how you do chest compressions when it comes to CPR. So if you don't know what the Baby Shark song is, it's really this song that, well, you heard him sing it, but it goes from baby to daddy to mama and kind of does the whole family, and yeah. But I mean, to be able to, how do you get 7th graders to have a fun time when you're trying to teach them something? So just really creative, just really creative. Also under system updates, WTCS President Association. The next WTCS State Board meeting is tomorrow morning. I will be in Madison. Tomorrow afternoon is also the President's Association meeting, so I will be there all day. So I'm hoping the weather will continue to hold out for me. Also, we mentioned in Justin's report that we had Betty get recognized as the Boards Association Member of the Year. So if we can just give Betty another round of applause. And we have a few pictures here from the event that we had taken. I mean, what an amazing night. Betty was able to have her beautiful family be with us, and I think that just brought a whole new livelihood to the whole meeting, and what a good-looking group, though. So just Betty, so deserving, and congratulations again. Just so deserving. Chuck had mentioned we had some wonderful legislative visits. We did have 5 different meetings. We were able to meet with 4 of the actual legislators, and we had met with 1 staff person from the other one who was also really engaged with us. As a whole, they very much talked well about Midstate and the WTCS, and Chuck was absolutely correct. We were asking for $82 million, $46 million for towards our students, which was around student financial aid, and $36 million, which was the investment right into our colleges. So again, we tried when we went out to take some pictures, so you will see that the appropriate, we have Joan Ballwig, and we have Vandermeer and Teston, and yes, so in Shankland. So for the pictures that we had taken. So, just a really, it was just a great day. It really was. I think we all felt like it was productive. And anytime you travel, you wanna add value to the day. And I think that we very much felt that we accomplished that. So, and just in closing, just thank you to all of you for my birthday flowers. And thank you for making a 50-year-old feel pretty special. And the staff, I walked in, my office was decorated today. Just the number of birthday cards that I've received. So thank you. It's just been a great day. And thank you for, to be able to have my birthday on Martin Luther King Day. What a special day. So just thank you, everybody. Thank you. That would end my report, Jessica. Unless there's any questions.
Okay. We will move on to the committee reports. The first being the Finance and Audit Committee with Chuck.
Okay, we've already addressed our consent agenda items. Get into the treasurer's report. On page 25, you see the budget modifications made in the month of December. Several of them more or less in balance with the revenues and expenses. Revenues go up $68,000, expenses go up slightly more, $73,250, so our fund balance will drop a little bit, $5,250. The next page, page 26, I think it is, shows the current budget for this fiscal year with all of the budget modifications, and specifically those on the prior page, shown on all of the balances reflected therein. On page 27, we show the accrued revenues expenditure actuals year to date. Of note, we're halfway through the year, 6 of our 12 months. We've received about 57% of our total revenue, and we've spent about 43% of our funds. So we're a little bit ahead of our expenditures in the revenue category. So fund equity is a little bit up from the beginning of the year. We expect a significant funds receipt in February from the state aid category, so we'll see our cash flow increase then. That would reflect the majority of our revenue for the year having been received. The last page of the financials is page 28, showing our balance sheet items. Cash and investments are $14.5 million, just over half of our monthly maximum, which occurred in February of 2017, and February of 2018 was also very close to the maximum. Again, we're going to receive a big chunk of change, about 10 million or so next month, or we expect to, from the state. So we'll have a significantly better cash position next month. In terms of, that's it for the Treasurer's report. If there are no questions there, we'll move on to the informational items. Rob shared several items with us. One was a revenue and expense forecast for the balance of the year. Rob, does everyone have a copy of this? Or okay. The expenditure forecast for this point of the year looks very good. We were anticipating that in Fund 1 we would be using about $800,000 from our fund balance to address things that we needed to do that revenue wouldn't cover, and also to bring our fund balance down a little bit closer to where we want it. We're going to come very close to that, but revenues and expenditures are looking good to the point that we won't be using as much of our fund balance as we thought we had, or as we had planned. We expect to use about $600,000 rather than the $800,000. So we'll end up a little bit more positive than we had forecasted, but that's not all bad. The next item that Rob shared with us was an update on the OPEB trust update. The market has not done good in the last couple months of 2018, as you well know. So we took a bit of a beating there. We're still doing good. We're above what our liabilities are estimated. And we hope the market will continue to improve the rest of this quarter. And then the final item, Rob shared with us a budget development calendar for the fiscal year 2019-2020, next year's budget. The staff has already started work on that and will continue in a schedule very similar to what we had for this last year. Any questions on those informational items? All right, that concludes our report.
So in our ask to the legislators was for the next budget.
Biennium, yes.
36 million, so I don't remember, was that 18 and 18?
Yes, it would. 18 and 18, and then 46.
Right,
would be
for the
split into-
student,
for the-
right. But
yeah.
for the colleges, and then let's say that was approved at 36, 18, 18. Is that divvied up like per, based on enrollment or something like that? Okay.
Yeah, so that's for all Wisconsin.
Right,
technical college
exactly,
districts.
right. So just trying to, if that was approved, do we know about how much we would get?
I don't think we know. I know that they have shared that it will be based on your total FTE for the college.
Okay.
So I would guess when we look at our other distribution, I know we're about 12 out of 16, Rob?
Yeah, I think about 5 to 6% of that is a pretty good proxy.
Okay, okay.
So some of that was for programs, so if that was approved, we'd see budget dollars increase for us. In
Yes.
terms of the financial aid, we wouldn't necessarily see that in our budget, would we?
No,
No,
We would not.
but our students would benefit, and
Right.
we might
Hopefully that
see,
would in turn capacity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly. And that's part of why we asked for the investment into the college as well, because part of how we got to the dollars for the students was based on there's 23,000 students across all 16 colleges that are on wait lists. So if we are able to get those 23,000 into our colleges, that definitely is going to take more operational budget to be able to support them. So we can be able to add extra sections, increase capacity, things of that sort. So we know that depending on how every college is situated, where those wait lists are, what the colleges would do with that money will be different from district to district based on, again, the needs that they have. So,
it wasn't lost on our legislators that we have a wait list
Yeah,
of
23,000.
23,000 across the
Yes.
state, and we've got a good economy. And they know what happens when the economy turns sour. You get an influx of people that get laid off or want other opportunities to go back to school. And we let them know, we need to be prepared for that as well.
and then when you piggyback that with what 94% of our students stay and live in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
that direct investment, knowing that our students are that workforce that they need, we think that really aligns up well.
Okay, next one, we'll move on to the Academic and Human Resources Committee, Rachel Leanne.
Thank you, Justin. We also met earlier tonight. We have no consent agenda items this month. And all of our items were brought to us by the Vice President of Academics, Deb Stensel. The first one is a paramedic accreditation visit. The Paramedic Associate Degree Program is accredited by the Commission on Accreditation of Allied Health Education Programs. The program was initially accredited in 2015, and on December 10th and 11th of this year, the Paramedic Associate Degree Program had a reaccreditation site visit. 2 site visitors spent 2 days reviewing documents and meeting with faculty, staff, the medical director of the program, and students. They also traveled to clinical sites in Stevens Point and Wisconsin Rapids to meet with the preceptors and other clinical staff. Feedback from the verbal report was positive. Several strengths were identified, including faculty engaging students in the classroom and lab settings. Simulation is integrated in the curriculum. The level of support from clinical and field partners, and the level of support from college administrators. The reviewers also provided feedback on areas to review, including annually reviewing and approving the program goals, clarifying roles and responsibilities of the medical director, and assess the effective domain. They also provided recommendations to strengthen the program, including developing a succession plan for the medical director, utilize students in documentation training, revisit the minimum number of skills needed. Our group, we do more than is the minimum, so we could up that number, and attend the accreditation conference. One reviewer stated it's hard to improve on perfection. We will receive a written report of the findings in a few months. After responding to the findings, we expect to receive full accreditation in early fall, and the maximum term for accreditation is 5 years. The reason we had 3 years earlier is that it was our first year, and that's a maximum of 3 years for the first time through. Our second topic was Law Enforcement Academy. The Criminal Justice Law Enforcement Academy is designed for students with a minimum of 60 college credits who seek to meet the certification requirements necessary to become a law enforcement officer in the state of Wisconsin. In May 2018, the Law Enforcement Academy was audited as a routine practice by the Department of Justice Standards and Training Bureau. The audit revealed a few areas that need improvement, including maintaining attention to detail in completing required paperwork and having consistency in faculty training and expectations. As a result of the audit, the program was recommended for a full recertification with conditions. These conditions include submitting a biannual progress report addressing the concerns and having an audit in 1 year rather than a 2-year interval. Midstate subsequently hired Dr. Clark Poggle, who was an employee of the college before, as a part-time academy director to provide the necessary training and establish procedures to meet the DOG requirements. A progress report outlining changes and improvements was submitted to the DOJ in November of 2018 and reviewed at the December 2018 Standards and Training Board meeting in Madison. As a result of our work to address the concerns, the Academy received full recertification with the next audit occurring in 2 years. So from the time we hired Dr. Poggle to the time we got the 2-year accreditation was from May to November, so he did a good job of bringing it back into good shape. On December 19th, 2018, Midstate recognized the efforts of 10 students who completed the 720-hour Criminal Justice Law Enforcement Academy. A special ceremony was held in the auditorium for graduates and their families, and speakers included Dr. Poggle, Academy Director, and David Forsyth, a Midstate faculty. Sorry, I didn't ask before, but were there any questions on either one of these two that I presented? Now's your chance. And the last item is the Program Advisory Committee membership. A few months ago, Deb and her group presented the process of how we go about doing committees or committee membership on the advisory committees. So she's just kind of checking back with us. The Academic and Human Resources Committee will review Program Advisory Committee members on a semi-annual basis. This information will be shared in February and early fall each year, so twice a year, different committees. Advisory Committee membership data will include the following elements. These are things that we had asked for. Program name, chairperson, name of that person of the committee, the member name, the member category, employer or employee, employer partner organization, campus geographic area represented, term dates, and diversity considerations. Right now, we don't have a lot of diversity, so we'll have that when it's possible. Newly selected advisory committee members will be identified on the data forms. Input is requested to ensure this process will meet the needs of the Academic and Human Resource Committee. In our committee, we thought that, including all the things that she listed, that we would like to state where the committee member is from. And Deb would highlight the new members so we would see who's new coming in. So if that's still acceptable to everyone, that's what she'll be doing. Questions, comments? Here's my report.
Thank you. And the next one will be the Facilities and External Relations Committee. And there you go, buddy.
As far as consent agenda items, there were none this month. Informational items, the first item we had talked about was in regards to the Civitas software program that we use here at the college. It was something that was purchased 3 years ago. It was before my time, so this was very informational for me today. What I also found out is that our technical college is the only one using it in the state. Mandy's going to be kind enough to show us a little example. What I gathered most out of that presentation also was the fact of the difference of retention based on a full-time or part-time student, so.
While I log back in, within the Civitas platform, we have several different modules that we work with. Two that are really working, or some that are really working with academic planning and advising for students, and then others that are really looking at our institutional analytics, so that we can take a look at that and in real time kind of start predicting how are we going to do from semester to semester. And that's what I'm going to show you, is what is called Ellume Students. And with this group, and we have had in the last year, our advisors sent out 13,000 nudges, over 13,000 nudges, what they're called, through Ellume Students or Inspire for Advisors as a part of Civitas. And these nudges are really small pushes to students to change their behavior, and they're really grounded in very student-specific data. So what can help that student right now that they're dealing with right now? And the open rates of their email that we see on this type of nudge is much higher than the average in higher education. The average in higher education around the country is about 20%. And what we see with these nudges, using these tools, we're seeing anywhere from 35% to about over 70% open rates of these emails, which we want students to open our email. So with this, what we can see and what we're looking at here right now, I have a filter on for all degree-seeking program students. And so this tells us that we have day one, that's today, first day of classes. The persistence prediction for spring to fall is about 71% of students will be persistent to the following next semester. What we do is break that out even further. So we look at this group of students who is maybe very high and high, and we figure out what we can do to keep them going and keep them highly engaged. And then we also look at these moderate, low, and lower predictive students, and what can we do to change their persistence prediction.
So Mandy,
yeah.
what is that? So how do I understand? Very low means what?
So it's based on prior history of mid-state students. It's very low or low persistence, likely to persist to the next semester. Yeah, so that's what it is. And each student has a persistence score, and that can change based on their attendance, based on their interaction with Blackboard, based on different things that, whether or not they've gotten their financial aid, things like that can all change that. And then what we see, not surprisingly, for this entire group is that their engagement, their academic engagement with Blackboard is really some of the highest predictors of their likelihood to persist to the next semester. I put on here as well, like we can dig further into the data. We hear nationally, full-time, part-time students, full-time are more likely to persist. So if we look at that and apply that, 77% of those students, full-time students, are likely to persist. But if we look at part-time, it's a 10% difference. So we know that there are things that we put in place and to really encourage and work with those part-time students, because that is our population and we want to be able to help them along the way. help them persist and increase that percentage.
And you can look by program, you can look by individual students. So if you're that advisor, you have that list of the students that you're advising, and you really, it will give you a risk of that student. So you'll know maybe who needs a little more care or who doesn't. So it's really trying to help you be able to keep the students, really. It's a proactive approach. And I know when I was at Boards Association, I can't remember which board member was by me, but CVTC came up to me. Betty, was it maybe you? But CVTC came up to me to say, you are so lucky that you have Civitas. And just because it is, I mean, we're always guessing, you know, what does the student need? And based on those behaviors, it gives that score. And then you can be proactive. So it can, you know, you can look at everything over as a group, but then breaking it down. But that individual data is really important. And this was an investment that you all made 3 years ago. And it is something that we will invest again. It'll be coming up for the budget next year. But it really is a forward-thinking tool that you will see on the national stage. If you would type in Civitas, or some of you that go to ACCT or AACC, you will hear about Civitas. It's really it's just one of the best tools out there. So.
And they're a great company to work with too. So thank you for your support of this over the years, and it has really helped make some improvements to our advising model.
So I presume not just the advisors have access to this, but the instructors as well?
Instructors do not.
Oh.
So instructors do not. So there's a balance between when instructors working with students as well, and them knowing the persistence score and working with those students versus, you know, they're there day to day in the classroom. And so we want them to really work with all of those students, and then the specific pieces that and support that we offer is really offered through the advisors. Yeah. We have another aspect of this is it's not Ellume students, it's Ellume courses, and that is really focused on the what can we do with improvements with specific courses, and that is something that we just started sharing with others through program review instructors.
You know, I think over time, faculty will maybe have some involvement, but I think that the data that came out really showed that if faculty, they have so much that they have to be responsible for, and when they could see the predictor score, they maybe really spent a lot more time with the person that had that higher number, and so then overall, the persistence went down for that particular cohort. So that's part of, they really want it to be a collaborative communication style between faculty and advisors. So I think between Mandy and Deb, they're really role modeling that, really that advisor sitting down with the faculty team and saying, okay, for this cohort, you know, we may have some more that are high risk, but it's really, sometimes they're told, they know, most of the time they know because their behaviors, but it's not to have the faculty focus so much on that as it is the advisor. So just explain that a little bit.
And I know you were talking about ACCT, and I can't remember if it was a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
At the ACCT where the CEO
Yes.
of Civitas
Yes.
gave a presentation, and what he was doing there was demonstrating the nudging, how with specific nudging to that individual student's needs or whatever. But he had the data, you know, that said the persistence, you can show the result of the software. It was very impressive.
When you hear the opening percentage that Mandy has shared, that national average is 20% of emails are opened, and knowing that we're at 60 to 70.
Anywhere from 35 to 70, over 70.
Wow. I mean, that's good. So when we look at our dashboard and we talk about how do we increase our retention, this is one of our strategies that we're trying to use.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mandy. Item 2 is campus lead collaboration. With a focus on increasing collaboration, Midstate has implemented campus leads meetings to engage the campus deans and managers at each of the campus locations, with President Mondyke and others in the executive leadership team. This is something that was started when Shelley came on board, and it's been active now for about a year and a half. And they meet every 4 to 6 weeks. And one of the highlights that was talked about today was the coordination with all the communities with the holiday parades. That was our number one. And also marketing budgets. Being able to specifically designate funds to certain campuses, which allows them to advertise for whatever reason that they feel benefit. Any questions with that at all? The next item is WILM initiatives. This is a new one for me. It is a combination of 3 of our colleges, Indian Head, Lakeshore, and Midstate. And it's all about IT. So it was very new and interesting. Brad brought this presentation to our group. What I'm going to do is just give you a quick overview of some of the different areas that Brad discussed, and if he wants to elaborate more on those, Brad, you can. Business intelligence, content integration, WILM data center, information technology directors, PeopleSoft campus solutions. What was really nice, what I found was there are some areas that, due to lack of personnel, we have not been able to achieve some of our goals or objectives. But Brad also went on to list areas that we have completed. So even though we are missing on some growth or opportunities, we have completed some of these areas as well. This is a consortium of the 3 schools. What I also found to present to the board tonight is it is a feeling that this may be something we'll break away from in the next year to 3 years. And maybe it would be best that you could explain some of that reasons why, but
just some reasons to, I guess, elaborate on and some potential items that may draw us away from the WILM Consortium in the future is just as we progress at our own paces of our college, the different business initiatives, processes, and things that we want to implement for Midstate to move us forward in the time manner that we want to. Oftentimes that's not in alignment with the other 2 colleges, so the either the timing, the budgets, the business processes, or whatever it is, sometimes and more often than not, does not line up with the other 2 colleges. So it tends to sometimes put us a little bit slower behind the 8 ball where we don't want to be. And so in order to help us address those items, move at a pace that's more in accordance with our direction and our strategic plan and things like that, it may come to where we consider what it would take to, I guess, secede from WILM.
Which is something that I know the other 2 colleges are doing also, their own analysis. This has been, I think, a conversation that has happened in the past, and everybody's kind of doing their own analysis, both from a budget standpoint and also from a service standpoint. What would that mean? WILM is the last IT consortium that is still standing. The other IT consortiums that were around the state have gone away. And I think the main reason of that, what I have heard from those colleges is, again, really just the interest and the direction of where the colleges were going. Some were interested in going that direction, some were not. Maybe they wanted, one college wanted this product, this one wanted this one. And so what it's done is it's been harder to try to find common things to work on. When the consortium was established, the 3 colleges were going to PeopleSoft. So it was really kind of a very focused mission to work together on PeopleSoft. So you can imagine that through the years, if I use maybe HR as an example, maybe a software that our people would like to use for payroll, maybe one college doesn't have the money for it, or another college wants to use this one. So it's just getting harder and harder to align. But we pay an annual amount to the consortium. We also have employees that are in kind, so we each have a few employees that work for the better good of the consortium. So this is a big thing. There's a lot to look at. If any of us would pull out, that would very much possibly affect the other 2. So there's just been a lot of conversation about, you know, if this was really something that was going to go away, we probably would all agree that, you know, we need to do something differently. So just know that Wisconsin Indian Head and Lakeshore are having these same similar conversations. So we just wanted to mention that in the report tonight, that nothing that we're going to do overnight, but Brad and his team did do an analysis. What would it mean from a fiscal standpoint? Also from the standpoint, would we be able to hire the expertise needed to be able to, if we're a standalone? Because then you have to support every IT function or system, and could we do that here at Midstate? And because right now, if we would lose someone, we could tap, you know, those sister colleges to help us. Not that we couldn't tap them again, but, you know, we really need to be able to be sustainable. So just something we're going to continue to evaluate, and we'll see where it goes, but.
Thanks, Brad.
Is PeopleSoft the biggest thing that Will has to benefit the 3 colleges?
I would say that's probably the largest thing, yeah. It's our ERP and student information system.
And there are tons of time that our staff have. There is a data intelligence kind of group, there's the HR group, there's the IT group. So there's multiple meetings that are happening where they're deciding on what's the goals that they're going to be working on and so forth. And I think many of the leaders here would just say that it's becoming harder to be able to come to that common decision. Can you give me Hyperion is one that comes to mind? Can you give that as an example of kind of what's happening with that?
So Shelley was mentioning, you know, all the groups get together and we try to come up with common goals or software or practices that we can implement to gain the efficiencies and really the true essence of why the consortium was established. So an example of Hyperion, that is a budgeting software that all the groups got together, all the colleges, and said, yep, we want to go ahead and implement that for, you know, the reason of budgeting, and I think it's some forecasting or something in there. So all 3 colleges agreed to implement Hyperion. Well, as the project went on, what we started out thinking that all 3 colleges wanted to implement Hyperion, we would have one implementation, ended up being quickly realized that each of the colleges were so unique that we each had to have our own implementation for Hyperion. So you're really taking, in what my opinion would be, an installation cost and times it by 3 instead of having one installation cost. So each college went with their own database to do the installation for Hyperion, and then in the end, I think WITC, you know, for whatever reasons, for their college, felt that Hyperion was not, to my understanding, would not be perhaps as beneficial for them. So I think, and Rob can correct, I think they actually backed out of Hyperion. So, you know, it's just really becoming more prevailing how each of us are just at different stages, and that true ability to collaborate is just getting more difficult to do when you want to try to, you know, get that efficiency with having a consortium.
And know that those conversations are very much happening at the president level as well, where the 3 of us are getting together to say, okay, what can we agree on? That if we go with this product, we're all going to go, or are we not? And so we're trying to come up with maybe some criteria that will help guide the staff, but it's just getting a little more challenging. So, thanks, Brad.
Our final item was workforce development contracts and proposals. If Bobby doesn't mind giving me a little help on this, it was very interesting about this machine tool program.
Sure. Yeah, specifically, I shared with my committee that we're working on a pretty sizable contract right now, but it is with NCWWDB, North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board. They are answering a call to their stakeholders saying, we need more machine tool trained individuals. So what they did is they're partnering with us. They would like to see about 16 individuals take a 10-week class starting from February going into May. It's a 10-credit class. It covers really our first semester in our machine tool program. Those individuals that they're looking for are underemployed folks that are looking for a change. They are looking to underemployed, unemployed, and also any early graduates from high school that may be looking to do something prior to starting a college career. The beauty of this program is that these individuals will be provided full tuition, full books, work boots, and a machine toolkit, which includes about $700 worth of tools. So you will see some heavy marketing on that through, we'll be on TV next Tuesday morning, early in the morning. We have been on our digital platform. We've done some press releases. That's just what we're doing through the partnership. The Workforce Development Board is also doing some of their own marketing. So our challenge here, our charge here, is to try to find individuals that would like to take this opportunity and learn a new skill.
Thanks, Bobby.
Veterans group being,
Veterans group, absolutely, yes.
That's it.
Great, thank you. Good conversation. Then we'll move into committee of the whole from this evening, and there was 3 informational items that we discussed. The first was the security director introduction. On December 3rd of 2018, the state did hire a director of security, vice president of human resources and organizational development, Dr. Karen Brzezinski, discussed the plans for that position and introduced Mid-State Director of Security, Randy Johns. A couple of notes about that position. He'll be responsible for overseeing the physical security of the Mid-State campuses. He will be implementing an emergency management plan for the campuses, and he'll be providing training for all of the staff in security and crisis management, and he'll be responsible for Clery reporting and Title IX investigations. Did I get all that right? Okay, good. The second item this evening was the annual legal expense update. I'm in compliance with the administrative policy on engagement of legal services. Dr. Brzezinski, again, provided a review of the legal costs that were incurred by the college in 2018. And then she did do some comparison with last year versus previous years. Legal costs for the university typically would include things like student needs, policy needs, and then legal contracts. The third item was mindset survey results. The college administered its new employee engagement survey mindset in late November. The survey provides data points for our key results of organizational health, and Dr. Brzezinski provided the board overall results from that survey. One great thing to note on that is there was a 97% response rate within the university right out the chute on this new survey, which is great. 49 questions are answered within the survey by the staff. They're all done electronically, and they're categorized by factor, different groupings, if you will. So we get our results from Mindset as compared to other colleges that use the software, as well as against all companies that use the software. And they were 2 very interesting data sets that you get, and you get, I think, a pretty good feel for where you stand within your own college. And then so far, we've been very happy with all the data that's been received, and look forward to future surveys with that. So, any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. And then we will move into discussion and action items. And the first being a facility usage report.
In your packets, at your place, you should have a report or a flyer that looks like this. And that's what we're going to talk about just for a few moments here. When we talk about facility use, that's a service that we offer as the college to let or allow community members or individuals to come in and either use or rent our space when it's not at capacity for our own purposes. Of course, there's rules and guidelines around that, which is covered in our administrative policy and such. But this is the annual report. As you'll recall, we transitioned the facility use roles and responsibilities from the facility division under Matt into workforce on July 1 of 2018. We did this as a group because we felt that the volume of the contracts are increasing. It is a revenue stream, so it kind of fit in the workforce area. It's all about making money. And growth of, because we want to grow these services. We want to have our facilities open more and more to the community groups. So we moved the roles and responsibilities to the workforce group. We also moved the report to a calendar year report. The reason we did this is to really level out our reporting so we can be more real time. We could be here talking about last academic year, which would be about 6 or 7 months too late. So what we're going to do is report out to you in January for the last actual calendar year from here on out. So again, this follows the calendar year, not the academic year. This last year, the last few months, we've updated our guidelines. The main updates is that not all nonprofits are in-kind services. We've got some very strategic nonprofit groups such as United Way or the district police and fire folks that come in and use our facilities, our community foundations and things like that. But there are also some nonprofits that would come in and pay a very small fee to use our facilities. Those fees are to help us with the custodials and cleaning and things like that. We also, another update there was that we also employ a custodial fee depending on the use. We're going to charge a small fee for that. And then we also have a campus attendant on at all times. So if someone would like to use our facility and it's not during campus hours, we make sure that we have someone here as a campus representative in our facilities, and they pay for that, they cover that. The updated report variables that we're going to be reported on, we'll talk about those on the flyer. But in the past, we've really reported on the number of uses of our facilities, and we're going to start reporting on the number of contracts, the in-kind value, the revenues, and then the number of people that come in and use our facility. I think that's a pretty key number. We're also going to show you, as you've seen in the past, the types of uses. Who's using it? Is it a nonprofit? Is it a profit industry, or is it a governmental? So we're just going to walk through some of the results that we have on your sheet. You can see in the first page the little chart that we estimated about 4,470 folks were served in our campuses that actually just came in and used our facilities. Now, I say estimate because when we complete a contract where individuals that are leading these groups or businesses, there are some guidelines. You know, they're the standard guidelines: no firearms, no alcohol. You can imagine what those are, and they're right on our website. They estimate how many people that are going to be in. So it is an estimated number. More often than not, we're looking for additional chairs. So I feel pretty comfortable with that number. The revenue from the last annual report, $6,339, and the in-kind value was $19,335. With some of the changes that we're making, my goal would be more of like a even keel. You know, we should be able to do 15,000 of in-kind and 15,000 revenue generating usage of our campuses. You can see last year the total value of space let was $25,574. The number of contracts we've had this last year was 68. You can see the split of the types of contracts that we wrote. over past years, we're seeing an increase of about 4% of more for-profit industries coming in and wanting to use, maybe for a team building with their employees, maybe for a team meeting or things like that. We're seeing more for-profit industries wanting to come in and use our facilities than nonprofit. We're seeing a little bit of a swap there. The highlights in calendar 2018, we've enhanced the information. We put it on our website now. Again, the campus attendant is on site. Our rental rates are all aligned with other colleges now. We moved the reporting structure, like I said, to a calendar year. The initiatives as we look forward into 2018 is we're going to start doing some marketing campaign around having some available space. We're going to make some future website improvements. As you know, we're launching our new website, so we're going to be able to yet improve our look again. And then we want to seek some opportunities at the Adams campus. It is a small campus, but when there are times, there are going to be times when we might have a conference room open, and if an individual would like to use that or have that need, we want to be available for them. The flip side, we talk about we break it down by campus. The first one, we look at the Marshfield facility. We haven't done a lot of opening up our campus for our stakeholders in the Marshfield area. Last year, we had 2 contracts. They were both for a singular for-profit industry. We had a revenue of about $600 there. The Stevens Point facility use, we served about 1,585 people in this facility. It was 35 contracts. It was the same basic, it was 35 this year and it was 35 the year before. So we brought in about 2,500 in revenue, the rest was in kind. And then in Wisconsin Rapids, it's our highest used facility. We served about 2,862 people. We had 31 contracts and we brought in about $3,200 in revenue when the balance would have been in kind. Just a sample of some of our facility use partners that we've served is on the right side. You can see that we are a big partner with some of the Wisconsin state departments. We work closely with DPI. There's a number of different organizations where you can kind of see with this couple of the different CSAs that we're really providing some services to our stakeholders. We have one kind of familiar company that rents or leases our space quite frequently, and it's a law firm from Madison, and they'll come in and rent a conference room, and they do some of their work for Central Wisconsin in and around our campuses. So that really concludes the facility use report for the past calendar year. And again, my goal would be to kind of move it forward and use our facilities at their highest capacity. Yeah.
I don't see DECA listed on here, now it's 511, or is that in a different category?
Yep, and what was the date on that? That was just recently.
Oh, it was January,
Yeah.
oh, okay, all right.
So
that's
that'll
fine.
be coming forward. You're pretty excited about that. Yeah.
But that would go in here as.
If they filled out a lease, if they came in and, I'm not, I'll have to check on that, Rick, because I'm not sure if that was part of our usual business, if we hosted that, or if they would have actually came
I think
and
we hosted
used our space. I don't recall if anyone.
Used a lot of space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, we
hosted,
hosted
so
it.
then if we're hosting it, that would be part of our normal business operation, so we wouldn't look at that as something, but yeah.
Good question.
On the graph, the purple line represents what?
Contracts?
The purple line represents the, let me take a look, the contracts, the number of contracts, and I actually put so the scale is on the right-hand side, it may be hard to read.
Okay, so the red.
The red is the dollars
Okay.
brought in, the purple is the number of contracts, and then you can kind of see the little letters, or the little numbers in white. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thoughts, questions, on the right track? Yeah. So I would encourage you, if you have groups that are interested, to please, let us know. We'd love to serve them. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And next, we have a Stevens Point campus and community update.
Good evening, thank you. First of all, I want to apologize for not being able to arrange for an ice storm this year like I had the previous years. It should be nice and safe this year leaving, but be careful in our parking lot anyways. There's still a little bit of leftovers from last year. Some of the highlights for this year, the Stevens Point campus and the Stevens Point community, I think first and foremost that catches my mind is that the Stevens Point area school district passed 2 referendums. Congratulations, and I will leave the details to Craig sometime in the future, but that was a real positive, I think, effect on our entire community, not just the school district, but the community as a whole. So we look forward to seeing some of the benefits of that as we move on. 2 local companies, as was mentioned previously, are getting ready to close. Figgy's has a local operations and so does Shopko. What we've been doing for Figgy's over the last 2 weeks is providing information sessions for their dislocated workers, including offering them some career awareness, some job seeker skills, and some computer basic classes. I got to meet a number of those people as they came in, and they're very appreciative of those things, particularly those computer classes. If they've been working in Shopko, maybe in stocking shelves, maybe as a cashier, maybe their computer skills have diminished a little bit, and having an opportunity to increase those and have a local place to do that, I think is real beneficial to them. One of the other highlights for our campus here particularly is our adult basic education enrollment. It's increased significantly. Thanks to Amber Stanchek, we now have a new 5.09 HSED option for our students. That basically means that instead of getting a GED or an HSED, they can take 7 classes instead. And not only take those 7 classes, but those classes can be online. So it's a much more flexible option for many of those students, and it's already having an effect. We've increased referrals to that program by a lot. Last year, we had about 24 students who spent 12 or more hours in our program. But this year, Amber reports in the fall alone, we've had 33. So only halfway through the year, we've made some significant progress there. Also, because of some changes in the way we offer our classes, Amber and her team have really been stressing adult basic education, and they've had 134 students taking advantage of that in the fall semester alone. So that's a broader range of students. Amber and her team have also hired academic coaches and pathway navigators, and particularly on this campus, that's had some significant effect. The coaches do monthly check-ins with students, so you saw a little bit about Civitas today. This is a different group of people. They're checking in on a different type of student and still doing those monthly check-ins to make sure the students are doing well. And then our navigators help those students who are working on their basic adult education figure out how that new training they've gotten fits into our program schemes. How do they take that basic education and then work toward either a diploma or an associate degree? And what I found really interesting in Amber's report is that those navigators also help those students tap into community resources for childcare, for transportation, to help ensure their success. This year we hosted the 2nd annual Central Wisconsin IT SWITA Conference. It's an bunch of IT professionals that came to campus and just shared what's new in technology, shared some of their skill sets with each other. It was about 120 IT professionals that came here. We helped put that on with the North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board. Continued our support of the heavy metal bus tour. This year we served lunch to about 450, maybe a little bit more, junior high kids in about 2 hours. While they were here, they got to play some trivia games about manufacturing, and I had a chance to earn some prizes. A quick box lunch before they went back on the road to visit some of those manufacturing facilities. So it was a pretty hectic day, but we got them through and found room. We actually had to spread them out from they normally come into this room, but during some of those shifts there were too many. We had to put them in some of the classrooms and feed them there, and had plenty of support from the staff to make sure everything went well.
And that'd be a hosting as well? Is that correct?
Correct, yep. So typically the area when Bobby's doing the rentals, it's a contract.
Yeah.
So if we're doing something where it's part of a program or we're a sponsor for the event, that would not be a contract, so.
Some of the Stevens Point staff are also continuing to support Central Wisconsin Days. Our marketing instructor, John Steele, is joining up with Deb Wallner, and they'll be taking 6 students to the Capitol this month?
Next month.
This month,
February.
next month, and to help advocate for the technical college system. And from what I've heard, taking students there to talk about what we do is very, very effective to those lawmakers.
Legislators, yeah, legislators made a point of that.
Good, and maybe we'll find ways to send a few more if we can look that up. In the Stevens Point area, we're investigating options for adding manufacturing programs to the Stevens Point area. Right now, we're investigating some land options to build a new facility. This facility does not have the capacity to support manufacturing, so we're looking at some other options. Those are still in the investigative stage. Student life, we had the German students, German exchange students on campus again this October. We fed them a traditional German breakfast. They participated in some classes. We took them to the Stevensport Brewery, always the highlight of the day.
What was the German breakfast?
The German breakfast, Germans tend to stay away from the eggs and bacon kind of thing, and they prefer what we would call cold cuts and cheese.
Oh, okay.
And so I bought some hard rolls and cold cuts and cheese and a few of the more traditional things that never get eaten. The muffins, they leave those alone. Not the salmon so much, but they seem to enjoy it. We also took them to an escape room, gave them some fun there, and they visited the cheese factory in Rudolph. Once again, John Steele will be leading a trip of students to go to New York. That'll be this May. The students that participate on that trip also have an opportunity to actually earn a credit in diversity, I believe, diversity studies, and so that's always a very popular trip. We've also, for our student life, what I've been pushing for here at Stevens Point campus is we have a lot of events. This morning we had donuts and coffee for our students as the first day of class. But we often forget those students who are coming in at 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock. So I've been working with Natasha Miller, our student life coordinator, to include some of those students in them. We've had, during Thanksgiving week, we had a Thanksgiving dinner for the students during the day, but that evening we had leftover sandwiches of turkey and chips and those kind of things to make sure that the evening students got to participate and share in the student life experience a little bit as well. The Stevens Point area, as already mentioned, a lot of things happening around here. I think what's most exciting for me is that the Lullaby property, which is right about there across the street from us here, is finally being ready to be developed. I got some of the insight from the city staff here, and they're looking at building 3 huge buildings over there, about 4 stories tall, adding 211 apartment type units to the Stevens Point area and right across the street from us here at the college, so that'll be great. And those apartments will be all different sizes from townhomes to studio apartments. So that'll be pretty cool, and they're also adding about 30,000 square foot of retail. So the way they described it to me, there'll be a couple of buildings where the first floor is restaurants, maybe small shops, and then apartments up above. And so it'll be a great combination for our students, another opportunity to go across the street, grab something to eat, and who knows if the price is right, we don't know what the pricing structure is, maybe live there and be able to very easily come to school. Century Insurance Building is getting ready to hold their open house in the next couple of weeks, so that'll be exciting. UWSP just opened up a new science building. You got a chance to tour that and see some of the cool things that are going on over there. And many of our businesses are either starting up, or local businesses are starting up or expanding. Key Mobility has doubled their square footage so they can make more wheelchairs faster. Service Cold Storage has also doubled their space. There's a new hotel coming into Crossroads that'll hopefully feed into our hospitality program a little bit. Tree Acres and Plover is adding single-family housing, a couple of new restaurants. Our staff today was real excited about the new Monk's Sports Bar that's going into Crossroads Common. Guess there's a couple in Madison and the Dells, and they're supposed to be really good, so we'll have one at Stevens Point. Our old Kmart building across the street from UW, that will be torn down and turned into apartments, so more living space. And downtown, we'll have some new senior living options as well. As Shelley mentioned, this month we held our strategic planning session focused on the Stevens Point campus. And we spent 2 half days here talking about the opportunities. We did a strengths opportunities analysis and found all kinds of opportunities. And now we get to start balancing those out, prioritizing them, and figuring out how we can attack them. Or make them happen, I should say. As you just heard from Bobby, our building continues to be a hub for numerous organizations. Over the last 2 weekends, we had a group called Educate in here. Educate provides K-12 professional development training. And they come in on about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. They teach a class for a couple of hours, they rest, and then the next morning at 7:30 they're back in here again, and they run classes until about 3:30 in the afternoon. Bobby mentioned our campus attendant, it's a lifesaver. He's here during that whole time. He helps solve problems if there are any with technical issues. And he's also a factor in security because he helps to make sure that our building is secure when those classes are going on, because normally we aren't open during those hours, and that the normal community is not coming in when they, shouldn't say that the community is not coming in when we don't want them to, so that organization has the privacy they need to conduct their classes. We also hold a lot of meetings for the Department of Public Instruction and the CISAs, including one coming up on January 30th that they're actually going to telecast across the whole state. So that'll be pretty cool. North Central Wisconsin Workforce Development Board has held their quarterly meeting here once. The Portage County Community Change Project has held all their meetings here so far. They're looking at 3 large initiatives to help improve life in Portage County. And over, say, the last 6 months, they've had large groups filling this room doing planning for that. And finally, on a personal note, I got to play Santa for Cuts for Kids again for my 2nd year. That's kind of the highlight of my holiday season, is to spend a couple of hours with kids coming up and telling me what they want for Christmas. Any questions for me? Thanks for joining us in Stevens Point.
Volker does an amazing job, just an amazing job.
All right, with that, I think we only have one item left this evening. I don't know if Bob, you want to do the honors for us?
Yeah, I'm here. Let me say something before I do that. Yeah, I would wait. I think, first of all, congratulations again to Betty. Thanks to Volker, and quite frankly, I'm happy I'm not having him get my truck up to the door for me tonight. But secondly, and I think this is important, that as a board, we understand, Shelley had several, Andy was there, Deb was there, Nancy was there, and I'm probably forgetting somebody, when Betty got her award. And I think that's important, that we understand that staff is as important as we are in this operation, and keeping people happy and motivated to support the college. With that, I move to adjourn.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That we're
Wonderful,
adjourned.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a piece of Chuck's cake if you did not.